Welcome to Daily Gossip. You will get daily Hollywood updates here. Remember to subscribe for the latest videos. In the world of live television, especially behind the bright and relenting lights of Saturday Night Live, there's no shortage of pressure, drama, or unexpected moments. But every now and then, something happens off camera, something so bold, so unexpected, and so emotionally charged that it becomes the stuff of Hollywood legend. And today, we're diving deep into one of those unforgettable behind-the-scenes moments. Billy Bob Thornton's intense face-off with a legendary SNL crew member, a story only recently revealed by Seth Meyers. And now it's got everyone talking. So what exactly happened? Why did one of Hollywood's most enigmatic actors end up in a tense showdown with Phil Hymes, SNL's beloved and notoriously gruff lighting director? And why is this moment still being talked about years later as one of the most confrontational and strangely hilarious moments in the show's backstage history? Let's rewind. It all came to light during a recent episode of Seth Meyers' podcast, Family Trips with the Meyers Brothers, where he reflected on some of his most jaw-dropping experiences during his long tenure on Saturday Night Live. And that's when he brought up a guest host who was as unpredictable as he was brilliant, Billy Bob Thornton. Yes, that Billy Bob Thornton. The Oscar-winning writer, the unconventional heartthrob, the Southern Gothic mystery of Hollywood. A man known as much for his artistry as for his defiance of Hollywood norms. Thornton hosted SNL back in the early 2000s, and according to Seth, his presence wasn't just felt, it was burned into memory. And here's why. On that fateful week, Billy Bob was doing what actors do during SNL rehearsals, testing out his look, costumes, and lighting ahead of the live show. Now, keep in mind, SNL is a high-stakes pressure cooker with cast, crew, and guests scrambling to make sure every single detail is perfect for a broadcast that goes out live to millions. That includes the lighting, which is overseen by none other than Phil Hymes, a legendary figure within the SNL studio walls. Phil had been with NBC since the 1950s. He'd lit everyone from Elvis to Eddie Murphy. The man was a pioneer, but he was also, in Seth's words, a crusty guy and known for his bluntness and old-school energy. Now, picture this. Billy Bob Thornton, in full costume, walks onto the stage for a lighting check wearing a hat. Simple, right? Maybe even stylish. But in Phil Hymes' world, it was a problem. See, lighting hats on SNL was notoriously difficult, especially back then, with older equipment and unpredictable shadows. Phil, who took immense pride in his craft, was not thrilled, but instead of addressing Billy Bob directly, Hymes, true to his crusty reputation, apparently made a loud comment from the lighting booth, something along the lines of, "What kind of idiot wears a hat during lighting check?" And that's when the mood shifted. Billy Bob Thornton didn't take the comment lightly. In fact, he stopped, looked around, and with total calm intensity said, "You got something to say? Say it to my face." Yes, he challenged Phil Hymes, the lighting god of 30 Rock, in front of the entire crew. The room fell silent. According to Seth, it was one of the most electric moments he had ever witnessed at SNL. The tension was thick. Would Phil respond? Would this explode into a full-blown on-set fight? But here's the twist. Phil Hymes loved it. Instead of getting angry, Phil laughed. It was a moment of mutual respect. Thornton wasn't just an actor, he was a guy who stood his ground. And in Phil's world, that meant everything. What could have become an ugly confrontation became a moment of camaraderie between two strong personalities who saw something familiar in each other, pride in their craft, a no BS attitude, and a refusal to play Hollywood games. This one moment tells us so much about both men. Billy Bob Thornton has always been a bit of a rebel. From refusing to conform to red carpet expectations to his famously bizarre interviews where he discusses antique furniture more than films, he's a man who lives by his own rules. And on the flip side, Phil Hymes, the lighting director who had lit every major NBC show for over half a century, wasn't about to let some hat-wearing host mess with his setup. It was a classic showdown between artist and artisan, each with a deep respect for their craft. And somehow, out of all the chaos, a bizarre kind of understanding was formed. This moment, though brief, has become a defining anecdote about what makes Saturday Night Live so iconic. Not just the sketches, not just the hosts or the weekend updates, but the culture, the realness, the backstage tension that so often fuels live creativity. Seth Meyers, who saw it all unfold firsthand, described it with a mix of amusement and reverence. It wasn't just funny, it was real. That's the magic of live television. It brings out the truth in people, the nerves, the pride. The spontaneous showdowns that no one expects. Let's not forget SNL has seen its share of backstage drama. From Ashley Simpson's lip-sync debacle, to Charos Rocket's profanity scandal, to Kanye West's last-minute performance changes, the show thrives on chaos. But what makes this story so compelling is that it wasn't about fame or ego or meltdown. It was about two professionals colliding over how seriously they took their jobs. And when you think about it, it's kind of beautiful. Bob Thornton could have walked away. He could have complained to Lorne Michaels, but instead he stood up, looked the lighting director dead in the eye, and called out the passive aggression. And in that moment, he earned respect. As for Phil Hymes, who passed away in 2018, this anecdote adds another layer to his legendary status. He wasn't just the guy behind the lights, he was a character in the SNL story, just as unforgettable as any sketch. In a world where so many Hollywood moments are curated, filtered, and PR approved, stories like these remind us of what we really crave: authenticity. Real people, real reactions, real backstage moments that make legends feel human. So the next time you rewatch an old SNL episode hosted by Bob Thornton, look a little closer. Behind the sketches, behind the laughter, behind the lights was a moment of tension, humor, and unexpected friendship that almost no one in the audience ever knew happened. And thanks to Seth Meyers, now we do. That's it for today's episode of Daily Gossip. Let us know in the comments, have you ever clashed with someone over your work? Would you have confronted Phil like Bob did, or stayed quiet? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss another juicy behind the scenes story from Hollywood, Broadway, and beyond. Until next time, stay bold, stay curious, and always say it to their face.